What's up, peeps? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Jen, and you've made it over to Copper Cactus DIY, where I share furniture art, faux finishing, and decorative painting. And I keep things real, sharing my wins and my epic fails. In today's video, the Mister and I are heading down to Ithaca on a thrifting adventure. I can't wait to take you into the 2 thrift stores that we ended up going to. We found great stuff. I brought a few pieces home, and I'm gonna flip 3 of them later in this video. And now please enjoy the next few minutes of this copyright-free music, which this first thrift store definitely did not have. I knew as soon as I saw this piece that it was the perfect height and style and design to be the printer stand that Mr. CC DIY needs in his office. There are some issues, however. The bottom drawer is definitely wonky, so that's going to need to be addressed. It's kind of gross. There's stuff in both drawers, including a bunch of stains and dead bugs, so that's going to need to be addressed as well. A couple of good things though, it has dovetail joinery on the drawers despite them looking kind of janky, and this thing is a solid wood piece. I'm pretty sure it's maple. It's super heavy and extremely sturdy. It has this maker's mark. This was definitely a production piece, and in fact, I can't find a ton of information on this exact piece, but the Van Stee Corporation does not have super high-end pieces in this size. However, at only $7.99 marked price for this piece, I was like, for solid maple, I would take it apart and just keep those pieces if I needed to, and it would still be way, way, way underpriced. So this was a super good score, and I had the Mister grab it so we could get the heckaroony out of there immediately. It looks okay. There's definitely some like staining and stuff on the bottom, but the whole piece is solid wood. Just this bottom panel is not.
This is solid, right?
The sides? Yeah. This has to get fixed. Like that's cracking a little. Also on this side it is a little bit too, but it's still got the metal feet, so that's good. Yeah, it's worth $8.
Heavy.
Yeah,
It's worth $8.
It's definitely worth $8. All right, let's do it.
Good clean up on it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, shocker. It's raining. Still. Again, still. That was 20 minutes, so woohoo! That can just go sideways for sure. Oh, perfect. Yaha! I like it. Sweet. Let's go. That was crazy. I can't believe it was a half off. Like, what?
Off.
It must have been like Green Tag Day or something like that. Because she's like, she just peeked over and she's like, oh, and it's half off. Like, what? Come on now.
No, they didn't even advertise it like openly. Hey, green tags are half off. But
and if they did, we missed it entirely on the way
walking out
in
of
the door.
for
Going around.
$10?
I know.
Okay.
$10 for 3 movies, and now going to be a printer stand, a 2-drawer printer stand, which is going to be so cool.
Yeah.
Stop 2.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Moving on.
Moving on.
You know what? Sometimes that gives you time to shake it off.
That's true. That is true.
That's cute.
$4.32. The drawer works. That could be staging, but I could definitely refinish that. It's so adorable that I kind of feel like I have to get it. $3.31. I was gonna make some of these out of cardboard, but if I can just repaint a few that are already made.
That right there,
Dude.
that is some serious.
Cute little haul. All right, now here we go. It's too rainy. We're done. We're gonna go and get some dinner at a place we've never been before. We're actually just gonna go like right across the parking lot to Texas Roadhouse because it's right here and we're hungry and we've never been before. So we're gonna just go do that, and then I'm gonna bring all this stuff home and start flipping some thrift stuff. But as soon as we get home, which will only be in like 2 YouTube seconds for you, but a couple of hours for us, I will show you the entire haul. Yeah, I forgot to film the haul. Sorry. So what you saw in the back of the car there, that was pretty much it. That was fun.
It was fun.
It was fast.
And we got some good
fun.
stuff pretty quick.
We did. I know. I love that. And we definitely came down at the right time. So not a lot of furniture, unfortunately. That's kind of a bummer. I'm still in the hunt for a bunch of stuff, but I will find it someday. I shall persevere. All right, let's go get dinner.
Yeah.
This thing weighs like 1,000 pounds, so I don't know if I want to do this myself, but I might try. Oh no. Well, okay, we're gonna let him do that, and we're gonna put that over here. Can you just put that right here?
Yep.
In front of this stool. Yay!
Yay!
Your new printer stand.
My
I will
favorite.
make that for you soon. To be honest, I have no idea when that video is actually gonna go up. It could be months from now. So in the meantime, so here are the 3 things that I got to kind of like flip, if you will. I did actually get a green glass bottle, full glass. It's a really dark green bottle, really cool, but that literally just needs soap and water cleaning, and then to dry because that will get flowers put in it. But these are the 3 pieces that I'm going to be flipping in this video today. So why don't I get you into some top down, because the first step that I have to do, other than unwrapping everything, is extreme clean. Actually, why don't I show you why? Crazy dusty dust. Not sure I know or want to know what all that is. And I'm sure these have some dust in them too that need to be shaken out. I used dish soap and warm water to clean everything, and while I was doing that, it gave me the chance to discover some of the issues, starting with the extreme smell. One of these smelled like a litter box, and the other one smelled like stale tobacco. Also, one of the legs fell off of this little desk thing, so I know I'm going to need to repair that. And there are a few other things that I did notice that I'm going to need to repair as well. Starting with, some of the shavings fell out of this little floofy ball thing. This is not pencil shavings, but they kind of give off that vibe. It's really cool and it's super lightweight, and I think it's cute and I want to use it in the staging because it's the only one from this bag. So I'm going to be gluing these back in place. I started by sanding the end of the little nub of this desk leg. Wiped it down and then I dry fit it, which I eventually promptly forgot where it exactly was, but I used some wood glue on the little end of the leg as well as in the hole of the leg, fit it in there eventually in the right direction, and then I wiped back the squeeze out. Getting these little shavings glued in just right was kind of a delicate process. Quick and thick is good because it dries super fast, so I knew that they'd kind of like set up quick enough that I didn't have to worry about them slumping, because I'm not really putting these back exactly where they came from, most likely. I'm just kind of fitting them in there so that it looks full, and I want to use the glue to make sure that they don't move. After finishing that and setting it aside to dry, I took a 220 grit sandpaper and ran it over every single surface of these bookends, especially on this outer edge where there was texture. I really wanted to smooth that out. The dust was ew, so vacuum, here we come. The leg was dry, so I sanded every surface of this little desk using a 150 grit. The old finish seems to just be about 1 coat of shellac, so it's sanding down and coming off pretty easily. Then, because this desk and the bookends are all solid wood, I took them to wash them. So while I was cleaning this piece, a couple of things. First, see that hole right there? That goes down to that back leg that I glued on. I'm going to have to fill that with probably some, I don't know, wood fill or maybe just sawdust and glue. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. But while I was doing things, most everything is pin nailed on, these teeny tiny little pin nails, but this back piece was not. Anyway, it pulled off. That's totally fine. I'm going to have to do something with the glue anyway. And frankly, I wanted to know how to clean in there because that was not working out. But I was using this awl just to kind of get down into like corners and in the little nooks and crannies and stuff to get all the sawdust out and whatnot. And now I have this. So I'm going to clean this. I'm just going to use like some chisels probably to get all of that grime and nastiness out of there. If I need to scrape, I've got a tiny little scraper. Once the wood had a chance to dry out completely and was dry enough to scrape, that is exactly what I did. I used a chisel and I just very, very slowly went along everywhere here that has like grossness and fuzz and what probably looks like mold. Now, I did protect the area around and I washed this cloth after I was done with this, so in case this was mold, it will be sealed, and you'll see that coming up in just a few seconds, but hang tight for that. For the piece that popped off, I wanted to do the same and scrape off as much of like the grime, nastiness, and old glue as possible. This took me 3 full minutes. I just wanted to say that. I know I have this in super high speed right now, but that's just for video purposes. I went super slow with this because I do not have 1/4 inch walnut on hand and I don't want to have to replace this, especially with this lovely little curve and all of this cool detail. My stabby brush. Stabby brush. Stabby brush. To kill any surface mold, I'm giving this a very heavy flood coat of some distilled white vinegar. I poured it in a small separate cup, then used that vinegar to flood the surface of this little desk. I wanted to coat anything that could be mold, so basically everywhere that is black on the surface. Once that vinegar had fully saturated any of the areas where I was trying to kill off the mold, I grabbed this brass wire brush and I just came in and I went along with the grain to dig the vinegar pretty deep into the wood. I want to get this like down into the grain, so just in case there's anything trying to spread, I can kill it before it has a chance to do anything. This took me, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes to actually get all of the vinegar that I wanted and really fully saturate this. And then I left this to just dry out. So the vinegar would completely go into the wood and then dry out. And then I'm gonna rinse this off just under the running water like I did in that other clip. And then I'm gonna let this thing dry probably for like, a full day, maybe 2 days. We'll see what happens there. I coated the bookends using this Franken paint that I mixed up using 2 different types of paint. This is a proprietary bonding paint from my favorite brand Faux Effects, and a little bit of this bare chalk paint that's left in the bottom of this container. I just needed a little extra something, and these are both pretty decent at bonding. And I really wanted to put this on before I put on anything like shellac so that I can see what some of the issues are. I'm giving one solid coat to everything except the bottom. I actually tried to get these 2 pieces apart, but these flathead screws in the bottom are in there forever. So I just left it as it was and left it unpainted. While that base primer type coat dried, I actually just used what was left of that paint and mixed a couple of different blue shades of chalk paint that I have into it directly. I'm going for matching the cover of my book. If you haven't seen it, I've flashed that up on the screen right now. And I wanted to match that color pretty closely, like as close as I can actually get it. So I mixed up that blue and then I left it to see how it would look when it dried. While that all dried, I took care of that floofy, poofy staging ball and all the others in that bag. With the prep work done and everything dry, I was able to go in with a coat of shellac. I'm using this clear brush-on shellac and just a chip brush that I can throw away later to apply it. I gave everything one solid coat of shellac. The bookends really only need the one coat to prevent any bleed through or odor coming through. The desk, I am going to give 2 coats to the desk part as well as the little piece that popped off and the drawer front, but the drawer itself and the inside of the drawer, I'm just going to do 1 coat because I'm actually going to coat that with Howard Feed and Wax a little bit later. I'm also hopeful that if there was any mold still that was going to try to come up to the surface, that this will help to prevent that too. Okay, I'm going to leave that to dry for about an hour and then see what it's like. And just in case you were concerned with me doing this shellac indoors, I have all my windows open in my studio, and not only is it breezy in here, it's freezing now. Then I added some arrowroot powder to a mold that I'm going to end up using as an edge banding basically. This on the bottom edge here is just raw plywood, so I want to cover that up in any way that I possibly can. And I thought adding on some air dry clay accoutrement would be a good way to do that. I press the clay in really well, making sure that the mold stays true to its shape, and then I cut off the excess just using a clay knife. That leaves a nice flat raw edge that I will be able to put glue on so that I can get this stuck down for good. I started in the middle and worked my way out towards the end so that I could cut off excess as needed, and I just used this Titebond Quick and Thick on both surfaces to make it super solid. Side note, I love Clay Day. I'll let these dry overnight. I used a 220 grit sandpaper and a really light touch to just give a very light scuff sand to this top layer of shellac. That way it just has a little bit of a tooth so that the paint can grab onto it. And then I am using that custom mixed paint that I mixed earlier to give 2 solid coats to both of these bookends, including all of the nooks and crannies. Then using this chalkboard paint, I gave 1 solid coat of black to everything on this desk and the drawer front. The only parts of this that I didn't paint is the drawer sides, back, underside, and inside of the drawer. Oh, and not the hardware either, but you'll see what I did there coming up in just a second. I also left unpainted everywhere that I would be putting glue to reattach this little piece that popped off. But I didn't want any of that to have slick surface either, so I used a 220 and gave a very light scuff to all of those spots. On the piece that popped off as well as on the desk itself. Once I removed all the dust, I grabbed my Gorilla wood glue and a teeny tiny paintbrush so that I could put this wood glue exactly where I wanted it to go. There's still going to be a little bit of squeeze out. It's also teeny tiny, just enough so that I know that these surfaces will bond, but I didn't want a ton of squeeze out because I know I'm not going to really be able to paint over that, and I didn't want to remove all of the undercoat of paint that I had put down as the first coat. I cleaned up that squeeze out with a wet rag. Then I used a few pieces of delicate painter's tape to clamp these two surfaces together. And waited it to dry using my tape measure. Once the glue on this piece was fully dry and cured, before adding any of the decorative elements, I just wanted to put down a really good solid coat of this semi-gloss top coat. I'm using this water-based version of polyacrylic from Minwax, and like I said, it's a semi-gloss finish. That's on purpose. I want a really high shine on this at the end. Have you figured out yet what I'm doing with this piece? Leave me a comment and let me know before the end of the video if you think you know what I am doing here, but it's very important that I can get crisp tape lines, so know that going into your guess. For the hardware, I'm going with a hammered metallic pearl as the final finish, so I want to start out using this off-white shade. I'm just using this Ceram Code, I think it's called, acrylic. It's a really old bottle, and I'm not even sure if this company exists anymore. Sorry about that, but pretty much any off-white would do. I'm also using a teeny tiny paintbrush to apply it. Hey peeps, sorry to interrupt the video, but I don't know if you've heard, I am hosting my first ever furniture flipping challenge. It's called Beach Please or Beach Please. Either way, however you want to interpret it, I am hosting this challenge. The playlist is going to drop on August 30th, 2025. You can check out the graphic for that right here on the screen and get some detailed information, or come over on Instagram and follow me. I am at Copper Cactus DIY, all one word, and look for my top pinned post. All the detail for this challenge is in there. I hope to see you there. Come bring your nautical vibes and make this self-proclaimed mermaid so proud. So thanks for listening, peeps, and we're back to the video. For the final look of this hardware, I'm going for a hammered metal, and I want that to be in like a pearlescent vibe. So I used this pearl acrylic and the same brush that I used to apply the base paint, and I just pounced it on. Using that same off-white color that I used on the hardware as the base paint, I am dry brushing onto the bookends in various places, starting with the raised clay areas that I did on the outer trim of the lower part. I also did some messy dry brushing on the outer edges around the top rounded sections. Then when everything was dry, I did a thing. So I'll let you watch that uninterrupted time lapse of what I did to this right now. This took me 45 minutes to do, and I wasn't even done with them at that point. You're gonna have to wait for the beauty shots to see what I actually did. The decorative element that I want to do on this little black desk requires me to do a ton of tape work. I'm using various sizes, and I feel like by the end of this clip, if you haven't guessed already, you're definitely gonna know what I'm doing with this. With the tape burnished down, I grabbed my tiny little artist brush and that off-white acrylic, and I started painting. I did 3 coats with a hairdryer in between each, and then I pulled the tape, but I'm not gonna let you see that. Just kidding. But I'm only letting you watch this satisfying tape pull until I have a chance to say, thanks for being here and watching. If you're not subscribed, you can do that for free somewhere out on the home screen of this video. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to leave me a comment below letting me know which is your favorite of the 3 flips that I did today. The after shots are coming up next, so make sure you stay tuned. But this is all the work that I have to share, so thanks again for watching. Later, peeps!